Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto here, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to present another classic film review after a lot of fun that I had making my Lord of the Rings and Fellowship of the Ring review. I was sitting watching The Mummy in theaters yesterday, and all I could think of was I'd rather watch the Brendan Fraser Mummy. So I did, and that's what I'm going to review right now. So this film was something that I watched when I was 8 years old when this movie came out, so I was probably 9 or 10 when I got on VHS, and this scared the crap out of me. And looking back now, it's a lot of fun, exhilarating action adventure film. And to be perfectly honest, outside of Marvel superhero films, you don't get a whole lot of just fun, jaunting action adventure anymore. And the first Pirates of the Caribbean film was that. The newest one was a little bit of that. But some of the ones in between were a bit dour and down and gloomy. And we don't get a whole lot of just fun, yet well done, truly just real action adventure anymore. We don't have a whole lot of Indiana Jones films anymore. And this film is just so much fun. It's a delightful film. And is it a perfect film? No, it's not. But I think this film deserves a lot of credit, and a lot more credit than just oh, it's a fun, passable film. This was directed by Steven Sommers, and he also wrote it, along with a whole bunch of other people who have screen story and uncredited credits along with his writing. But overall, this is his film. He directed it, he wrote it, and I have to say the tone of this film is it's a fun, jaunting adventure that has thrills. There are freakier moments, and overall it balances the tone pretty well. There are some moments that are really out there and kind of take you out of the film a bit, but overall this is just a well-rounded fun wonder of an adventure, and that's something that I really appreciate. The pace of this film, it has a fun kinetic energy that just keeps it moving, and an intensity in certain moments that keep it moving when the humor kind of dissipates for a bit. And overall, the humor in this film is really well done. There are some characters that didn't really need to be there and are a bit too obnoxious and over the top. The warden character, did he really need to be there on the adventure with him? He did get to show really creepy scarab death at one point, and sorry, spoilers for an 18-year-old film, but necessarily some of the stuff didn't really need to be there, and it kind of takes away from some of the focus of the film. But overall, it's a lot of fun. It's well paced. So the action sequences in this, having rewatched it and having become a lot more snobbish, as I admit, on action in films and things that I really look at, being somebody who doesn't like a whole lot of handheld cam, a whole lot of really quick editing, the action in this is well staged and actually really well done, and I was really enjoying the action sequences in this film. One thing that I can say is that overall, the CGI is a bit dated. There are scenes that actually do really look great, to be perfectly honest, and some better, and especially some of it better than the new Mummy film. But what I really appreciate about this film is that they really did try to use practical effects when they could. And I always appreciate that, because it makes it a real contextual, it has a texture. You can feel like you can reach out and touch the world that's going on, and the production design in this is fantastic. The costumes are great. You're really absorbed into this time period, and I think that's what benefits this film, is that era feels so much more swashbuckling, adventurous than, say, this modern rendition of The Mummy, that it feels like I'm ready for an adventure. I'm gonna get my pistols and my holsters, my side holsters, and gonna look like I'm gonna go on on an archaeological adventure, and it has the same kind of feel that Indiana Jones has, and I feel like that really builds up this film and gives it a fun set piece to really deal with, and it also makes it more interesting because you don't have as much like futuristic technology and stuff, and it makes it harder to battle some of these things. It's like you're using the revolver and you don't have computers to do research, and like they actually have to go places and go on adventures to find clues and stuff like that, and I think that's pretty cool. Overall, the main characters are a lot of fun, and some of the main comedic characters don't go to the point where they're just straight up annoying and taking away from the film. There are some, the warden character, and even Benny, who can be really obnoxious and grating, but still has a certain thing about him where he has a smart, slick humor about him, but also he's a lot smarter than he leads on because he plays a lot of people. And then you have Jonathan, the brother, who could easily just be a bumbling idiot, which he kind of does become that in the later ones. But in this one, he holds his own. He picks up a gun, he fights, and he actually does stuff to help. He goes face to face with the mummy, and it's just like, holy crap. And there's a lot of great chemistry between two main characters, Rick and Evie, and I really enjoyed their chemistry and their characters, and they're well fleshed out, fun characters. And in terms of the story, this is an interesting build mythology, and I was really into it, and I have been really into it, and I think it's pretty cool. And you see where this character's coming from and did this for love, and is really driven by a hard sense of love and desire, and now revenge and just disdain for what he had to go through, because he went through some very serious things. He did some bad things. He had an affair and then tried to break the laws of nature by trying to bring his love back to life, and gets cursed for this. And like the American characters, like the cowboys, they're really flat and they kind of bring down the movie, but they're cannon fodder basically, and they're there for some really freaky moments, and some of the moments are very tense and built up in a great way, and also unique. Some of these things, like, I've never seen that in a film before, and the cinematography by Adrian Beidel, there's some cool action. During the action, there's some really cool shots, especially in the early battle scene at Hamunaptra, where the guardians of the land are fighting O'Connell and his men, and there's some really cool shots of them riding in on their horses with their guns blazing, and with that it's pretty cool. There's a lot of like big CGI scenes in certain parts, especially the flashbacks, and overall it's not like super impressive cinematography. A lot of it's serviceable, and Jerry Goldsmith's score, though, is fantastic and really gives that adventurous energy and enthusiasm to you as an audience as you're sitting there and feeling like, I'm ready to go at certain points, and really builds up the background of this Egyptian feel to it with that infused in the film, and also some really unsettling moments in the score when there's supposed to be moments that are really tense and freaky. And overall, from a performance wise, Brendan Fraser has a lot of charisma, and he plays this character with such great swagger, and he feels like an Errol Flynn just going out there just being like, I am an adventurer, I am a true movie star. And kind of disappoints me that he hasn't gone on to a whole lot of other things. Rachel Weisz does a very good job in as Evie, and she really does a nice job of balancing, hey, I'm a smart woman, but I'm also really smitten, and she's very charming, and you can really feel the chemistry between her and Brendan Fraser. And John Hannah, as I mentioned before, does a nice job of balancing that humor and that sarcasm and that moments of heroism, but also a lot of moments of being a little overconfident in himself as the brother Jonathan. Arnold Vosloo, who plays Emotep, is very intense and has some moments of he's has some screen presence, and he does a very good job of making him be a little intense. You don't have a whole lot going on with Emotep for a lot of the movie that you actually see him. So that's a he does his best with what he's given, and then Kevin O'Connor is very slimy as Benny, and he just plays a slimy character that you root to be like, I want him to lose. That kind of character, and he does it in such a fantastic way. Overall, I really love this movie a lot, and it has its shortcomings, but honestly, it's a lot more fun than a lot of the big blockbuster films coming out nowadays outside of Marvel and now Wonder Woman. But I would always suggest going back, taking a look at The Mummy. The sequel, The Mummy Returns, has some more problems and it's a step down in the third one, the Dragon Emperor thing, which is meh. So I hope that they find some of this more fun, jaunting adventure, or go full blown like horror monster movies with this dark universe. But I'll always have this movie to have a lot of fun with. So I'm gonna give The Mummy from 1999 a B.